Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Menachot daf Yud Zayin. We are going to begin right before Yud Zayin Amud Aleph on the previous Amud, the last word. Amri Charifi de Pumbedisa. So the sharp ones of Pumbedisa, as the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, that's referring to Aifa and Avimi, who were Bnei Rechava de Pumbedisa. So these were the people that were known as the sharp ones, these two great scholars. So Hakataira Mafageles Hakataira. So we've been talking about Pigel and whether or not you can be Mafagel B'chatzi Matir. That's what we primarily spoke about in yesterday's daf. So they say that a person, as Rashi explains, who's Maktir the Kaimitz. So while you're doing the burning of the Kamitza, you do this almanas lahakter levoina, and your intention is to be makter the levoina l'achar zman pigel. After the right time, it's pigel. Says Rashi, v'afagav de'ein mater mefalgas amater. So how does this work? I thought we said that one matir, there's two matirin. One is the kaimitz, and the other one is the levoina. So one matir cannot mefagel the other one. Notice, while you're doing one, you can't have a pigel machshava about another matir. V'lo dami l'sheichet as a keves l'echel mechavero machar. So it's not comparable to a situation where you shecht one of the kvasim in order that the other one should be in tomorrow. So can mafarish will come on the hasam lo ikvu b'chad mana. Over there, those animals are totally separate karbanos. Hacha ikvi b'chad mana. They were both in the same vessel, so they could be pigel on the other one. So even though the other, when it comes to the din of the kavasim, we do not say this din. So look in the Gemara now. So again, the Charifi Pumbedisa says hakataira of the kamitza. While you're doing this, mefagelos hakataira. You can actually be mefagel the other one because it's still in the same cleave. I feel rabbanan there made mefagel b'chatzi matir, that if you have pigel on one matir, again, there's two matirin. One is the kaimitz and there's levinus. If you're mefagel on one of them, so according to them, they say it's not pigel because you're only mefagel and chatzi matir. In mefagel b'chatzi matir. Hanimili heicha dechishe be b'shirayim u'lavina b'milsa kamaisa. That's only in a situation where you have a machshava regarding the shirayim and the lavina b'milsa kamaisa in the original motion. In other words, while you're doing the kamitza, you have a machshava about the lavina, and you have in that situation. So that's where they say that will not work. So over here, it's you're having the machshava during the burning of the lavina. It's like you're having the machshava on the entire machshir. Okay. The point is that this is an interesting din that they hold hakatara is mafagelos hakatara, and we do not say the din is that ein matir mafagelos a matir. That doesn't apply in this case. So Amar Rav Avanam Tenina Zekla. This is the general rule. Kol kaimitz. Any situation where a person is engaged in doing the kamitza, but noisin b'kli, and you put it into the kli, which is comparable to first of all like the shchita and then the kabbalah, v'hamoilich. And a person who is carrying this, which is like hoylacha, and here's the key word. It says hamaktir. And even while you are being maktir, regarding something which is typically eaten, which is the shirayim, lahaktir davar shadarko lahaktir, and you have an intention, something which is going to be burned, namely the other maktir, the lavina. So during that time, right? So which is again. This is the situation what we're talking about, that you have a machshava during the haktaira, during your maktir, when you're maktir the kaimitz, and you're doing this with a machshava about the lavina, chutzim kaimo pasam in bakaris, chutzim zmanoi puga b'chaim bakaris. My love, hakatari dim hanach, mahanach ben l'achal ben l'haktir. Even when it comes to lahaktir, when it comes to being maktir the lavoina. You have a machshava about this other matir, af hakatayra ben haktir. So basically, again, you should. That's what's going on. We see this is a raya. The mafagelas hakatayra is mafagelas hakatayra. Well, hanach ben lechol ben lahaktir hakatayra achol in lahaktir loy. Over there, when it comes to whether it's something which is consumed or burned, hakatayra is only la'achol, but lahaktir lo. Right? When it comes to lavaina, no. So actually, he says that's not the case. You would not be mefagel hakatayra mefagelos. He would say hakatayra ein mefagelos hakatayra. So Yosef Menachot bar Gada Kamei Abaye. So it was said in front of Abaye. Yosef, he was sitting with Amr Mishmei Rav Chisna, was sitting with Rav Chisna. The ein hakatayra mefageles hakatayra. That actually pum fakert. That it's not true that it is mefagel. It's not going to be mefagel. The fact that you have a machshava b'shas burning of the katayris, burning rather of the kamitza about the lavaina, machshava about the lavaina would not work. If you'll remember, that's only when you have a machshava regarding the shirayim. The kaimitz mater didhu, because the kaimitz is mater the shirayim. Of a hacham, the kaimitz la mater the lavainahu. The kaimitz is only mater the lavain. The kaimitz is mater the shirayim, the leftovers that you could then the kaimitz is able to eat it. However, the kaimitz is not a mater for the lavaina, so matzi mafagel. So therefore, it can't do it because even Rameir will hold the din of ein mater mefagel as a mater. Amibaya ani merei mishmei derav. Let's see what this is. So Amalei Abaye. So Abaye said to Rav Menachot, "Anani adaini, my master, answer me." Amalei in, yes, it's true. No, it doesn't work. There won't be a din pigel. So Rav Yaakov bar Idi Mishmei de Abaye Apanameninina Shachad Echem Kavasim. Apparently we have a raya. We're going to understand this is not a raya, but we're going to think it is, because if you shecht one of the kavasim, one of the two, lechem and machar, in order to eat it tomorrow, when your machshav is on it, then pigel, then that one is pigel v'chavero kosher. And the other one is kosher because you didn't do have any wrong thoughts. Let's say your intention when you shechted one was to eat the other one tomorrow. It doesn't do anything. My time, one keves is not a mater for the other one. It can't be mafagel, so it's a proof. Well, when we're talking about the reason why we say it's not going to be pigel when you have a machshava while you're doing the shechita of one of the kavasim for the other one is because they're two totally separate animals. They're two separate karbanos. So therefore, one is not linked to the other. Maybe the fact is that when you have a lavaina and the ketairis all in the same vessel, it's possible that they do become pigel on the other one. Which is basically what we saw already in Rashi. Hanuna, ha milsa, evilly Rav Chanina. So this is a question which was addressed with great difficulty. V'tekilali kikuli talmidoi, and he basically his was able to provide an answer as like all of the students. It says Rashi, v'shikuli, like he was equal. Kaloimer chavivo olai. It's so chaviv. What he said, it's so precious. What he said was so precious, so beautiful. Chaviv olai, like all the students said it. Hikdir kaimitz. So what was this? Hikdir kaimitz. A person is makdir the kaimitz. Lahakdir lavaina, and his intention was to be makdir the lavaina. Or lavaina lechel shirayim l'machar pigel. He says that it will be pigel by kamashma and iaktar mafagelos haktaira kamashma and lema hiktir kaimitz lahaktir lavaina. So is that what it's coming to tell you? So then it should say it that way. Which is another machlokas Tanakh Rameir, Kamash 1. It should say you're marked the kaimitz in order to eat the shirayim tomorrow. Eater vayu, if either one eater vayu Kamash 1, if either one creates pigul, lema hikter kaimitz lahaktu lavayin lecha shirayim lamachar. Really, he holds that it doesn't work. If you have at the time of the burning of the Kmitza, a machshava about the lavoina, that won't do anything. Vein mefalgin b'chatzi matir. Actually, he does not hold, as there's a machos or Amir and Tanakama, that's because you are mefagel on one of the matirin, that won't make it pigul, because you had to be mefagel on the whole matir. V'shani hacha, over here it's different. The pashtule machshava b'kulei mincha. Your machshava was on the entire mincha, says Rashi. Even though you didn't have people on one of them, so Tani Tanaka made Rav Yitzchak Barabba Hikter Kaimitz. If you were marked at the Kaimitz Lechel Shirayim, in order to eat the Shirayim, which is the matter of the Kaimitz. The kaimitz is a matter for the shirayim. L'divrei hakol pigul. That certainly is pigul. V'miflig pligi. What do you mean? It's a machlokas because that's chatzi matter. El aim l'divrei hakol pasul. So even though it may not be pigul, but it's still pasul. Lema harizet pasul. Harizet pigul. Rameir, he just say it's like the sheet of Rameir who holds the falcon b'chatzi matter. So tana divrei hakol because he was going like everyone. Snui pigul b'psul. Michafle. Harizek b'divrei koil will michafle. So the fact is to say pigul or psul, that could have been a mistake, but the mistake of harizek b'divrei koil will michafle. That wouldn't have been a mistake, since Rashi Hilkach yihavi asnuye harizek v'loy havi oimer divrei hakoil. Okay, all right. Let's maybe see another question over here. I'm not sure. Let's see. This is Yud Zayin with Aleph. No. Let's see. Well, mandi oimer ein mefalgen b'chatzi mater ve'ein hakatar mefagelos hakatara heich mishkachas la b'chishiv b'kaimitz de'havi pigul. Okay, this one is a question which we just did. So this is question TA26. So let's get this down. So this is the answer. B'hakter kaimitz. Let's get this down. You're makter the kaimitz, lahakter lavaina, in order to be makter the lavaina, l'echel shirayim. It says the pashta machshava b'kul mater, which is what the Gemara says over here. Let's just make sure we understand this. This is TA26. So you mocked it while you're being mocked to the kaimitz, is what we said, right? Your hakter lavaina, to be makter the lavaina, le'echel shirayim, to eat the shirayim. So while you're being makter the kmitza, your intention is on the lavaina and on the shirayim. So therefore, your machshava is on the entire matir. As it says here, even though each one is not pigul, so you had actually machshava on both of them, and that's the reason why it will be pigul. So basically, you have a machshava on both of those items. The same question as TB29. TB29. I'm not going to write down the answer because we can just look that one up. Okay. Let's see, maybe this parak is going to be easier. Who knows? So we just did Hakaimitz Mincha, then it says Hakaimitz Mincha. So you'll see that the name of the parak is Hakaimitz Rabbah. Okay? All right. Because otherwise it's the exact same name. So Hakaimitz Mincha. So a person does Kamitza on the carbon Mincha Le'echol, but his machshav is on a davar she'ein darko Echol, is on something in which is not supposed to be eaten. Namely, the kamitza is supposed to be burned. So your machshava is on something which is not supposed to be burned. Or lahakter davar she'ein darko lahakter. You have a machshava on something which is not supposed to be burned. Namely, the shirayim, which is supposed to be eaten. So in that situation, kosher, because your machshava is on the opposite of what you're supposed to do with it, and therefore that already will not cause problems. Look in Rashi, ha mishni yasera de ha tanan bekiper kama. We actually did have this not too long ago. It says echol kachatzi zayis. If your machshava was to eat half a zayis, lahater chatzi zayis kosher, because in those two cases they're not. We're not mitzaref, because one is achilas adam, one is achilas mizbeach, and elo Rabbi Lezer it's stricha. We're going to istrich. We need it the shita of Rabbi Lezer who says it's puzzle. The afag of the puzzle Rabbi Lezer b'machshava shlo kedarko. Even though he says it is puzzle, the gozer otu kedarko, because if you have the machshava kedarko, so then it's mamish pigul deraisa. So therefore there is a psul derabanan. Right? Normally there is a psul derabanan, but hachlu gozer pachas mekazayis otu kazayis. But when it comes to pachas mekazayis, he's not geyser. Okay, so that's the chiddush. Let's continue in the Gemara in the Mishnah. But it's pachas mekazayis kosher. So there, he's basically we see even that he is not geyser otu. Chatzi zayis to otu kazayis. Kachatzi zayis lahater kazatzi zayis kosher she'in achil v'achatar mitzdarf. He said that they're not mitzdarif. Chatzi and a chatzi is not mitzdarif because one is achilas adam, one is achilas mizbeach. Says the Gemara. So Omer Rav Asi, Omer Rav Yochanan, my time, Rabbi Lezer. Why does Rabbi Lezer say in a situation while you're doing kemitza, your machshava is on something on the that which is supposed to be burned, on something which is supposed to be eaten, and the hakatayra is on something which is not supposed to be burned, right? Right. Your machshava is to eat the kemitza, or to burn the shirayim. So why does he say it's possible? You're doing a totally upside down machshava. So my time Rabbi Lezer. So Amr Kod the pasuk says shlomim. Now it has the repetition of the word ha'oichel. So mishnilos achilus kas madam. There's two achilus. Echad achilus adam, echad achilus mizbeach. It's coming to tell you that there's two achilus. One is the burning of the kataris on the mizbeach, as well as, I keep saying kataris, the kamitza on the mizbeach, as well as the shirayim which is eaten. Just like a person can have an improper machshav, I'm going to eat this shirayim so too, if a person has a wrong machshava of I'm going to burn it at the wrong time, that's also considered to be pigul. Here's the big chiddush. So apparently this is a din deraisa based on this pasuk, that it's possible even though your machshava was on something which is supposed to be eaten and your machshava is to burn it, etc., or vice versa. So my taima medafkinu rachmana lahaktaira b'losh nachil. The fact that the pasuk uses the language regarding haktara with the language of eating. Rabbanan. So why does it use the word achil if it's talking about achilus mizbeach? The mizbeach is not really eating. So the reason why it says it that way, as we continue to Yud Zayin Mebeis, is actually to tell us something else. It's to say lo shana ki machashe b'loshen achila l'mizbeach, lo shana ki machashe b'loshen haktara l'mizbeach. It doesn't make a difference what language you use. You can say, well, maybe the fact that you said the word achila from the mizbeach doesn't mean anything. No, it doesn't make any difference. If you have a machshava about using a lashon of a haktara or achila regarding the mizbeach, that would also still constitute as a machshava. Inami, alternatively, ma achila b'kazayis avachatar b'kazayis. It has to be that mount. Mashma. However, it's mashma that it's the normal way of eating, and that's what it's coming to tell us. And therefore, not that if you would have a machshava about something which is not supposed to be to eat it, or vice versa, and that situation would be kosher, as the Mishnah says. It should say the same word according to you. Why does it say these two different words? It's coming to tell me two things, as Rashi helps me out here. That it has to be not just for achilas adam, but also for the aktar has to be the kazayas, and also that you can have a machashim me'achila achila. So Armule Reb Zero Reb Asi V'itai Reb Elazar Mishum Hachi. If that's the truth, then it's actually from a pasuk. So who chorus Nam Yilchayev? Because it's from a pasuk, which means it's a din deraisa, so you should actually be chayev. Now we already know that this. I already mentioned it's really going to be Gzeir D'Rabbanan, but at least at this point in the Gemara, because we're using a pasuk, it seems to support the fact that it's actually din deraisa, and therefore he should be chayev kares. But atu de amrit mishmei Rav Yochanan moed Rav Elazar shenesh kares. You actually said there's no chayev kares, but why not? So I'm really tenoi. You're right. Some people say it's a psul deraisa, which means it'll be chayiv kares, and some say no. This Tanya. Let's say a person is going to shech a carbon, and his intention while he's doing the shechita is lishtais midamoy lamachar, to consume the dam. Now, obviously, the dam is supposed to be put onto the mizbeach. You're not supposed to consume it. So that's a chilas mizbeach for an adam. So l'machar, lahater mibsar l'machar, to be makter the basar, which you're supposed to eat, but instead you're going to burn it. So it's basically sounds like the same thing as our Mishnah. So l'echol my. Oh, sorry. It's hard for you to read this. My Gemara is a little bit older. L'echol me'em mora of l'machar, to eat the sacrificial parts, kosher, Rabbi Elazar paisel. Now, again, it sounds like our Mishnah, right? So it sounds a lot like our Mishnah, right? It's almost the exact same thing, but here we're talking about karbanos, behemoths, etc., instead of menachos. So laniach midamo lamachar, to leave the blood over till tomorrow. Yehuda paisel, Rabbi Elazar af mazur Rabbi Elazar paisel. Even though in this case, Rabbi Elazar also would say it's possible. Rabbi Huda libadaman. Who does the shita of Rabbi Huda hold like? Right? Rabbi Huda says when it comes to the leaving over the blood till tomorrow. So ilay malibad rabbanan hashta. Mahasam over there, the kamachashi b'lashon achila. You have a lashon. The pasuk has a lashon of achila. Machshir rabbanan. So the rabbanan still says it's kosher. Hacha lo kol shekain. You're just leaving the blood over. Certainly be kosher. Now leave it to Rebbe Elazar. Yeah, Rebbe Elazar af mazu Rebbe Elazar paisel. Also here he says paisel chama machshirin. Rebbe Elazar hanu Rebbe Yehuda. So then it's the same thing. Now love kari sekum benayu. It must be that the whole machlokas is whether or not you're chayiv in this case. Therefore, it's a din deraisa to Rabbanan. To Yehuda savar haniach psula be'alma. Bahanach karis namil chayiv. The also Rebbe Elazar lemeimer idvidi pasul the in bokaris. Well, the kuli alma karis leka. Really, there is no din karis at all. Rather, v'hacha gimel machlokas bedavar. We had this before elsewhere, not too long ago. There's a gimel machlokas bedavar. So look at Rashi. The Rabbi Elazar gozer atu machshava kedarko dehavi pigul. Hilka gozer b'shaloi kedarko. So, which sounds like a lot like our mission, dehavi psul. Avol haniach, when you're just leaving it, Dibri hakol kshera delo osra taira el machshavas achil v'shtia de bechlal achila. Who has to be some level of eating, right? That's only when it goes. So like this. So Tanakam Savar Bahanach Pligi Laniach Dibri hakol kosher. The machlokis is only again when we're dealing with your machshava. So it's not a machshava of eating at the wrong time. Haniach, you have in mind to leave it behind. So in that case, divrei hakol kosher, because all you're doing is leaving it. Yud Ches Amud Aleph. Rabbi Huda savar b'hanach pligi. Rabbi Huda says, as Rashi points out, b'shtiyahu de pligi rabbanan. Fine. Haniach divrei hakol pasul. Actually, it's pasul, the opposite. My timer. Gezer mixus damu atu kol damai. He's geyser leaving some blood atu all the blood. The whole damu psul deraisa. We know leaving all the blood is a din deraisa the sanya. Armulhem Rabbi Huda iyata moedim li. Don't you agree? Shema nichol machar shapasol. If you leave it over, it's pasul. Chishav hanichol machar nami pasul. So if you have a machshav about the whole thing, it's also pasul. Yasser belezer lememer af bezur belezer paisel chacham machshirin. So even in this situation, he holds it is a machlokas. Okay. So and we're going to go back. We're going to continue with this thought as we continue tomorrow Let's maybe see another question. Question 4. The imhach yachol babasnas anachash almav malna medlibed rabbanan mid afgin rachman bekra the pigel ba'akatar b'lashon achila. So why does it say when it comes to akatar lashon achila? So it could be coming to tell you it doesn't make a difference if you use the lashon achila for mizbeach. It's the same thing as a lashon hakatara. It'll be the same thing, or to tell you that it has to be a kazayas ba'akatara in order to be chayav. Okay. TA27 no, TB30 no, Adkan.